right, welcome to the Fit Family Lifestyle Podcast. If you're jumping on to the live, put hashtag live. If for some reason you're watching the replay, put hashtag replay. And I am here at Player One Production Studios, deep in the New Mexico desert. And I'm here with special guest Davide Manca. How's it going, Davide?
Things are fantastic.
Things are fantastic. So, you are all the way in Canada. Where in Canada are you?
I'm in Newmarket, Ontario, which is in a burb in Toronto, actually. So pretty much Ontario.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so you guys have states, we got provinces. So I'm in the
Provinces,
province
that's
of
right.
Ontario. Yeah.
Very cool. So I've never been to Canada. That's on the bucket list, but I'll be honest, growing up in New Mexico, I hate being cold. Like 30 degrees is freezing for me and I'm dying if it gets below 30. So how do you think I'd fare in Canada?
Oh, I think you'd be okay.
Because
I think you'd be okay, man. Listen, you get a nice, warm jacket and you cover your ears, man, you're gonna be more than good.
okay. Well, I definitely have to cover these ears. I don't know if you've noticed, but I got headphones on now, but these guys catch some wind.
Mine are nice and tiny, man.
Yeah, you lucked out. So, what do you feel like is like the biggest difference of, I mean, did you grow up in Canada or were you born in the States or
No, I grew up in Canada.
okay.
So all my life, yeah, it's great, man. Like I find that Canada, you get to experience all the different weather types. So it doesn't matter where you go in the world, you're sort of have a rough temperament of dealing whatever comes your way, which is great. So we can tough it out.
Nice. Well, we have a saying here in New Mexico that if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes because it'll change, and it's pretty true. This is one of the states where you could experience all four seasons in one day. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, so thanks for jumping on. For those of you who don't know, Davide is also a fitness and nutrition coach, correct? Fitness and nutrition mindset.
Yeah, fitness and nutrition coach. Also post rehab specialist. I also do neuro re-education training as well. So around the visual and the vestibular system.
Okay,
So
you're gonna have to break that down. What'd you call it?
it's neuro re-education.
Neuro
So what you
re-education.
do
Okay.
is you work with visual and balancing patterns and different types of mobility drills to help restore function back to the body.
Okay. So what does that look like? Like give us one example of how that would help somebody and who is somebody that needs that?
Actually, there's a lot of people that would need it. This can range from anywhere as young kids to the everyday person that goes to the gym, to athletes, and to the aging elderly population as well. Because what's going to happen is if your vision or your hearing starts to go, or your mobility starts to go, functioning in your body starts to go down. So you can see changes in your body composition.
Mm-hmm.
You can see changes in your strength, in the muscle hypertrophy, because what happens is all these functions start to get impaired, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give you an example. If you ever look at elderly people when they're walking down the street
I
and
do
they're
that all the
shuffling their
time. I just stare at
yeah,
them. No, I'm just kidding.
they shuffle their feet, or they
Mm-hmm.
waddle a little bit, or their heads got they got that nice lurch type of posture to their
Mm-hmm.
neck. The people that got the lurch posture have basically problems in regards to their vision, but also the visual system is multi-dimensional. Like it can regulate pain, it can regulate metabolism. There's so many little things that get affected by all these systems, right? And when I first took this course, it's out of Phoenix, actually, Arizona. It's Z Health,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Dr. Eric Cobb, who teaches the course. And it was probably one of the most challenging courses I ever took, but it changed my life forever because
Sounds
the
like it
way I
sounds like a
look
lot of
at
neurobiology, right?
yeah, it's
Neuropsychology and
yeah, there's a
neurobiology.
lot of neuro stuff that's going on, but you can actually do correctives on the spot and fix people's squats in 5 to 7 minutes instead of taking a whole bunch of time just to, foam roll them or do a bunch of
Right.
other mobility drills to get them. So it's actually quite nice.
So what's like a specific thing that you would have a client do that you recognize needed, this kind of, I don't want to necessarily call it a treatment, but this kind of practice.
Okay, so for example, let's go over a squat, for example, right?
Okay.
So someone
Everybody
is
knows what a
actually
squat
go
is, so that's a good example, right?
yeah, so a squat is a good example. So sometimes you can't sit low enough into the squat, and sometimes you have problems in regards to um, butt winking or coming too far forward in your squat.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that's an ankle mobility thing, right? So now ankle mobility is going to be affected by the jaw, and it's also going to be affected by the eyes and also by the inner ear. So you can do tests on these people and see how they're performing because you can see how their eyes are moving. And based on
So as
those,
they're doing a squat, you're looking at their eyes and you're paying attention to where their eyes are shifting as they're doing the squat.
so I'll give them a highlighter and they'll hold the highlighter in their hand and they'll squat with it in their hand. Or I'll even do a stationary test where I watch them do a pencil push up and I'm watching to see what happens with their eyes when they're doing that.
Okay.
And depending on whether their eyes converge or they diverge out, I can basically do correctives based on those and then work on it from there. It's actually quite nice.
That's crazy. So what's something, let's say that you have somebody, they're doing a squat, you're having them hold the highlighter, and what are you looking for that's going to let you know that something's off?
Okay, so for example, if the eyes are going in a particular pattern, I'm going to see if they're converging properly. So when they're pushing the marker forward, I'm watching to see if their eyes are converging, following it there. And then
Mm-hmm.
when they come back, their eyes have to open up and
Right.
I have to see if it's actually going to track properly. Now, if it's not tracking properly, then I need to do a corrective for that eye movement.
Okay.
And then from there, I'm able to retest the same squat again to see if it gotten better or if it gotten worse. And how the client is going to communicate this with me is they're going to tell me if it's a lot looser in their legs, if the movement feels a lot smoother. For the evaluator myself, I'm going to be able to see that their squats can be much smoother. They're able to go lower into the squat. I'm going to be watching to see if their body's shifting or not, and if not, I can do other correctives to help correct the other stuff
That's
once I
wild.
find
So
it.
what does a corrective look like? Like what specific thing that would you do or have a client do that would be considered corrective?
A corrective?
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, I'll give you an example. Let's just say the client's hip is shifting out of place. I can get them to bring their knee up to 90 degrees and bring their arm up to 90 degrees like this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll apply pressure to the outside of the arm here and on the outside of the elevated leg. And I
Mm-hmm.
get them to do almost like a P&F pattern in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then once they do that activation, then I can get them to redo the squat. And then if their squat is a lot smoother, then I've primed them and I've got them ready for exercise.
Wow, wow. And so, um, what have you found have been the biggest benefits of this kind of assessment? Because I'll be honest, I've never even heard of this. I mean, I know a lot about neuropsychology and neurobiology, so I'm familiar with that. But this is something totally new to me. So what have been the biggest benefits that you found of um, doing these assessments with people?
Well, the confidence that the clients have in you actually is actually pretty good because they're able to count on you for getting them ready for exercise. Like they'll come in, you do a corrective, and then all of a sudden they're feeling a lot better versus when they first came in the door. So for them, that's a win because now they don't have to feel bad like the whole workout's going to go to crap anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
they're like, hey, this is great. I thought today was going to be a bad day, but it's actually going to be a better day. And for them, that's the world. You know how it is. If you miss a workout, for some people, that's going to be the start and the end of their day.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, I mean, for me, one of the things that resonated with me hearing you say that is, and everybody who follows me knows my story, but in 2020, I broke my leg skydiving. I snapped my tibia.
Wow.
Yeah, the landing didn't go so well, and it was over a year of healing, and then even longer getting back into training consistently and getting back to the physical condition that I am in now. Um,
Mhm.
but one of the things that I notice is that on things like a squat or, well, especially a squat, especially, holding the weight and doing, a squat, um, I struggle to get the depth that I did before I broke my leg. And part of that is because of the break, but then also part of that is because when I was a kid, they said that I had scoliosis, but it turns out I don't actually have scoliosis. I have my right leg is actually about an inch shorter than my left. When I was a kid, they and make sure that the volume on anything that you have is turned all the way down so we don't get that echo too.
You're good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so my left leg is about a full inch longer than my right. So like if you I didn't no one has ever said anything, but on any of the videos that I post of me doing a deadlift or a squat, I have one of my shoes off, and that's why. Um, is this something that could actually help get just improve my form in general overall with my lifts, but help get into a deeper squat?
Yeah, it can definitely help out for sure because there's different tests you can run. Because here's the thing, only you know your body as well as you do. So, like for example, I have a couple participants that have club feet. I have had someone that
What's
has
club
Morton's.
feet? I've never heard of that. What is club feet?
It's like almost think of like a duck. All the digits are sort of webbed together, like
Oh, okay.
a
They're good
web type
swimmers
of foot.
then. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's a bit of a web foot, but it's a bit troublesome to walk, and it causes a lot of pain because there's a
Mm.
lot of inflammation.
Oh
Then
yeah.
there's someone that had Morton's toe, which almost looks like your hand, whereas their big toe would be about as short as your thumb, and that
Mm.
causes problems with plantar arch stabilization. So
Mm-hmm.
it's worked on them as well. And just when I thought, okay, you know what, maybe let's see if this works, or let's see if this doesn't work. I had a guy that hasn't moved his toe in over 3 years, and the doctor said he would never move his toe again. And I'm like, I don't know, that doesn't sound right. So basically, I took my bottle opener from my keychain and I skin stemmed his toe, and he was able to lift his toe for the first time up in the air for the first time in over 3 years.
Wow. That's
You know what I mean?
wild.
So, and the thing is, it's like it's not magic. It's just once you learn stuff, you have to test the limits of all the tools that you learn, and then you see if it works. But the look on his face after he saw that, he's like, "Wow, it's just I've never seen that in all the years I've been going to different doctors." And this is these are the types of tools now that these certifications are providing people, because now you can actually see quick results in a short amount of time, and you can
Mm-hmm.
get them all focused. Because once they see something like that, they're going to have a positive experience with that, and their vibrational levels are going to raise up, and they're going to feel great. So then whatever you're
Right,
going to do
like
with them,
something
they're going to,
something that I thought and that I was told I wasn't going to be able to do. Now, I have hope that I can actually do that. Right?
like, for example, what were you thinking?
Well, no, I'm just saying from the perspective of your client. Like, I mean, for me, I've had, doctors told me, that I wouldn't be able to train martial arts again and or run again, and I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to get a second opinion." But that's me, but I know that there's a lot of other people who have an injury like I had or get a diagnosis from a doctor where they said, you might not walk again or you might not be able to move your toe, and then they have an experience like that where they try something new, something kind of out of the box and that's different, and then they see a result and then they go, wow, like maybe I actually can. Maybe the doctor wasn't right.
I would say try everything until you know. That's my rule of
Mm-hmm.
everything that people that come into the gym. I treat the gym like a lab. Um, That's why my friend gave me the nickname the fitness mechanic, because
I was going to
he says
ask
you
you, I
always,
was like, where did the fitness mechanic come from? How did that
yeah.
develop? Tell us that story.
So there was a friend of mine who's used to be a colleague, and what was really interesting is that I do get a lot of clients at work that are of post rehab nature, and a
Hmm.
lot of them have been written off, um, because people just give up on them, and they're like, oh, you know what? I went to this person and that person and the next one, and nothing ever worked. I said, okay, let's figure something out. And
Hmm.
you get a chance to go through all the different patterns, and then you start figuring things out. And first the first 1% happens here, the next 2% happens there, and then before you know it, they're getting better. I have an example. I have a lady. She's 73 years old. When she was in her 30s, she was a Paralympic athlete.
Okay.
Um, she was in a car accident 3 years ago, that where she was hit by a van and flew 15 feet in the air and crashed through a bus
Whoa.
shelter. This lady has multiple um, limb replacements, and this lady still, she seems to amaze me more and more every time. Like when she first came to me, she was in a walker. She can barely sit up and down from seats. It was very hard for her to do specific activities because her foot would swell all the time. And she was discouraged. I said, you know what, listen, let's just take it workout by workout and see where this goes.
Hmm.
So now she's able to press 400 pounds for 20 reps on the leg press with multiple knee and hip replacements.
Wait, you
And
said she was 73, right?
she's 73 years old. That's correct.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
And I'll tell you, like, as a trainer and a coach, when you see these things happen in front of you, it makes you smile, because it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
wow, miracles are happening, and it
Hmm.
and it it makes you remember the reason you took your job as a coach, because you get to impact so many people on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I
It's just
mean,
wild.
I love those wins and those success stories. I mean, they're
Yeah.
my favorite when someone's really legitimately changing their life, and they have a win, big or small, whether it's like pressing 400 pounds or just being able to do something that they weren't previously able to do. It's incredible, and it's really the best feeling. And that's like you said it. That's why we do it. So, tell me some more of the kind of, dare I say, kind of avant-garde strategies that you use working with your clients, because watching some of your content and seeing some of the things that you do and talk about, you suggest and propose strategies and techniques that are not what you typically see. I mean, everything from brushing to, what you were telling me about the holding the highlighter and doing that. And there's definitely you might ask a client to do something that's not something they've ever heard of. So what are some of the more uh, unconventional approaches that you use?
Okay, so I will do specific flossing techniques. I will do percussion guns. I have an electrical acupuncture wand. I have like
Hold
different. I
on,
have
hold on. Hold on. We got to back up. We got to back up. So go back to the beginning. I guess let's start with acupuncture wand, because I'm imagining like a giant stick with a bunch of pins sticking out of it. Like what?
no, actually, this is there's no needles that are attached to this. It's a blunt, dull surface,
Okay.
and it literally could be a simple model for this could be purchased for $20 on Amazon. Yet it delivers the most amazing microcurrent you're ever going to have.
Microcurrent.
Uh,
Okay.
and what's the interesting about it is it won't work unless so if let's just say I'm administering it to you. I have to physically touch a part of your body in order to ground the circuitry for it. If I take my hand off, then it won't work on you. If I put my
Okay.
hand back on you, then it's going to ground, because it works around your body's own meridian
Right.
lines, right?
So it creates a complete circuit between you
That's
and the
correct. That's
apparatus and
correct.
the other person. Okay.
Mhm. Now, let's just say someone has, uh, because I know different acupressure points too, but depending on your client, whether they want you to do it or not, someone they'll say, "Oh, hey, can you do this? Can you press on here?" Whichever. I know where to press because I have friends that are massage therapists
Mm-hmm.
or osteopaths or chiros, and they've taught me a lot of stuff along the way throughout my career. But I find that with the wand, it's not as invasive. You can put it on like the neck or the arm and or the leg, and it can loosen up that particular muscle a little bit. So then you can take them through some other movement patterns so that they feel better about themselves.
Wow. Okay. So that's the acupuncture one. What was one of the other ones that you mentioned?
I've got a hypervolt percussion gun.
Okay, what's that? Percussion gun.
So
Is
a
that one of the
percussion
things
gun,
that I
I'm pretty
used when I
sure.
went to the chiropractor that like went
Well,
like
that's the thumper probably that you're
yeah,
thinking about. But the
the
hypervolt, it
thumper.
actually looks like a power drill almost, and it's
Okay.
got a percussion head that goes back and forth like this.
Okay.
That's going to allow what's the word I'm looking at? Circulation to go to the area. Because what's going to happen is it, and depending on, there's three different levels, but on the first level, it's just enough to get the muscle stimulated a little bit. So what
Okay.
will end up happening is circulation increases in the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
It sends a message through the nerves back to the brain, and the brain is going to say, okay, you can relax now. And then it's going to start to relax. And then you can take them through a proper range of motion and get them warmed up with a pattern to get them ready for their exercise.
So are these tools that you're using with people prior to starting a fitness journey or even before a workout? Or are people coming to you because they have like specific ailments or injuries that they're trying to work through?
It's actually a little bit of both, believe it or not. Um, Word goes around at work that, oh yeah, that stuff deals with injuries, or like for example, one of the salespeople was doing a tour with one of the members. I
Mm-hmm.
saw that the member was leaning off to the side, and I text messaged the salesperson to ask him how long he's had his back pain for, and then
Mm.
when he went through it, then he asked, "Where? How did you know that?" I says, "Well, one of the trainers was observing you on tour, and he noticed that you were leaning off to one side, and he said, how long did you have it for? And how long has your other knee been hurting for?" So because then once
Ah.
you know what the patterns are, then you know exactly what to look for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then based on someone's gait pattern as well, then you can start doing specific exercises to improve their walking gait. And once you start correcting people's gait patterns, then a lot of stuff starts getting good because you can correct squat form with that. You can correct someone's running form. You can
Mm-hmm.
correct a whole bunch of things, especially for the elderly population, because a lot of them just want to get back to walking with their friends and, doing more active things. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
half of them can't because they're like, oh, my knee's sore or my hip is sore. Oh, my ankle's not feeling well today. Oh, I've got pain in my upper neck today. And, you know, and the thing is, once you get into the reputation of helping people get better, then word spreads fast and then you start to get to work with a lot of these people, which is really fun.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So what's your typical client that you're working with there that needs that? Are you typically working with older people with back pain and injuries? Is it um, people with disabilities? I mean, what's your typical client that normally you end up working with?
It's usually for 30s, 40s plus.
Mm-hmm.
My eldest, like I told you, she's 73. Um, but you're right. It's like mostly people either that have injuries or people that they're not moving well, but they need to move better.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'll get a lot of those people. They come to me and I work on them. I've got athletes that used to compete at a professional level, and then they come to me, and then I'm working with a lot of their retiree injuries from
Mm.
sport. So that's fun too. And then one of my clients, he moved to Miami, and I've been training his daughter, who's 16 years old. So that's a totally different gear. But again, she's been great to work with because when you tell people to do homework and they do it and they start seeing the results quickly, it's actually fun to watch, right?
Oh, absolutely. Have you ever got a chance to work with somebody like big or important or famous? Anyone come in with a name?
Uh, in my earlier part of my career, I actually worked with Laura Vandervoort before she made it big, actually. And she was in Smallville. She was the very first Supergirl on the Smallville show.
Oh, no way. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Okay. I didn't recognize the
So,
name until you said that, but now I know.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
got to work with her. I was fortunate enough. And I've worked with a couple of Michelin chefs that have passed through when I worked at one other location as well. So again, it's really neat. Um, and then just people that are around the club that even if they're not clients, you get to help them just by giving them tips here and there throughout the club. We have a famous rapper that was in our gym, and now he lives out in the East Coast. His name's Maestro Fresh West,
Mm-hmm.
and Maestro's been around for a long time. So him and I, we chit chat about health and fitness and different home remedies and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
And I got to ask because there was something that I saw you talking about the other day, or maybe it was something you sent me or post, but it was something about brushing. Tell me about the
Okay,
brushing.
so
What's up with the
dry
brushing?
dry brushing.
Dry brushing. Okay.
Okay, so what dry brushing is used for is to improve your lymphatics of your body. So, a lot of times people, their circulation in their body doesn't work properly, or they store retained water in various parts of their body. So when you do dry brushing, you stimulate the lymphatic system to help
Mm-hmm.
push lymph through the system.
Okay.
So, like for example, you can dry brush, and another thing is rebounding, right? And a lot of people don't know about that, and that's the those trampoline works when people jump on the trampoline. Believe it or not, that's actually really good for you because it saves your legs, and you don't have to put your joints through a lot of chaotic ground and pound on it.
Yeah, well, my kids would disagree because whenever I jump on the trampoline with them, I try to like bounce them off of it like through the roof. But I get that, especially being a former competitive runner. Jumping on a trampoline is definitely much easier on your joints than a bunch of other stuff. In fact, after breaking my leg, when I finally was able to start putting weight on it, being able to just stand on the trampoline and just kind of bounce, like not jump and go crazy, but just kind
Yeah.
of move, was actually tolerable even when walking was almost impossible. So I definitely believe that makes a lot of sense. Real quick, if anybody is watching us live and wants to jump in and comment, I'm trying to make sure that the comments are turned on and everybody can jump in. We will read them live on the podcast just to make sure that everybody that has something that they want to chime in with. So send me a message or Davide a message and let us know if you're able to comment or if you're having trouble with it, because I'm making sure, because we don't have our live comments up on the screen like we typically do. That's why I'm paying attention to the phone here to make sure that we don't miss anything. But if we're having any technical issues like that, don't hesitate to shoot one of us a message and let us know. So, oh, good,
Vernon,
good,
thanks for
good. Thanks,
responding to an
Vernon.
amazing
All right,
discussion.
we're in business, Vernon. Thank you. Yeah, this is getting interesting. So, yeah, I have never heard of the brushing except for um, my youngest daughter. When she was born, she had what they called sensory issues. And so
Okay.
one of the things that we had to do with her when the physical therapist came in is they would have us do two things. One, we had to like compress her joints. We had to like push in all of her joints like 5 times each finger, and then the wrist, and then the elbow, and then the shoulder, and then give her a big squeeze. But then the other thing that we had to do 3 times a day is we had these little soft brushes, and we had to brush her arms and legs 10 times.
Yeah.
And so is that basically the same thing?
Yeah. They use that for dry brushing. Another thing you can sort of get into, which we can from this conversation, is skin stimming.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh, you're
I'll
talking
give
about that
you
with
an
the lady
example.
with the toe, right?
Yeah, so
Okay, so
yeah,
how's
that's
that
right.
work?
Okay, so let's use tattoos as an example.
Got a
So
few of those. Okay.
tattoos, yeah, so tattoos, because they're a scar,
Hmm.
it causes nervous disruption to the body. So it's like it acts like a roadblock, right?
Hmm.
So for those people that have tattoos before they go exercise, the best thing is to rub all those areas as best as you can where the tattoos are, and you can actually improve your athletic performance for that workout.
Okay, wait. Let me see if I get this right. So wherever I've gotten a tattoo, if I stimulate that area prior to going and doing a particular workout, I'm going to have improved performance.
Yes.
All right.
And the worst
Excuse me, I
color for
have
the
to text my
tattoos
wife
is
and tell her that I need to get tattoos on my biceps. Give me one moment.
so what happens here is a lot of people will decrease their performance because of tattoos. That's the only thing that's actually stopped me from getting one right now. Because once I took the course and you start learning about it, like I have a scar, for example, right here on
Hmm.
the inside of the forearm and the bicep here.
Okay.
And I was at the certification, and when I started scrubbing it, because they you either tap it or you rub it hard. So for me, it was either a hard tap or I had to really scrub at it. But I was able to improve my squat and my lunging form just by doing that, just from that one little thing. Wherever you have scars or whether you have tattoos,
Interesting.
you
Okay.
stim it.
So let's say that I've been trying to work on my shoulders. I've been trying to grow my shoulders a little bit, trying to get my shoulders stronger.
Yeah,
I do have the small tattoo on each one.
yeah.
So the best thing for me is going to be to brush or rub these really good before doing the whole workout or the specific lift where I'm using my shoulder.
Well, you can do either one. Is that whatever, right? Interesting that today's gym reps tend to have at least so many tattoos and as adult dancers.
Yeah, they got
All
to go
right.
on a slip and slide before they work out, basically.
Oh yeah, pretty much, right there. Either that or on a carpet, like from Get It to the Greek. But anyway, but the main thing is yeah, as long as you stim those areas, you can actually increase your performance. Like as soon as we're done this podcast today, what I'm going to get you to do is you're going to stim all your stuff by skin stimming and just try doing push-ups after, or just do some dips or do some bicep curls, and you'll start noticing a huge change in just your performance right there.
Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna because I'm going to the gym tomorrow morning, and
Yeah.
and tomorrow is more like isolation, small muscle groups, not like big compress or compound movements. So when I go to do my shoulder flies, I know how much weight I can do, and I'm gonna try to break the barrier and hit a PR, but I'm gonna stim it. So do I just rub it? Do I brush it? What's gonna
Yeah,
give me the
so
biggest?
what you're gonna do is you're gonna brush it
Okay,
with your hands. Just go like this. Like I can send you even a whole warm up if you want. I have a warm up I can send you that it's a sensory warm up before you start doing
let's
your
let let's
exercise.
let's do it. Let's do it. We're gonna do this. And my lovely wife just got here. She's got a whole armful of tattoos. So I'm gonna tell her about this. We're gonna make this happen. We're gonna be your guinea pigs, Davide. We're gonna test this out tomorrow, and we're gonna film it, and we're gonna make sure that we report back. I'm excited.
Yeah, so that's a huge one. And like for example, if you're testing, oh, that's a nice tattoo. If you're doing please repeat that mechanism that causes tattoos to limit performance. Okay, Vernon. Tattoos are scars, and what scars do, they cause disruption to the skin because it acts as a roadblock. So when you stim the scars, you re-stim the nerve to send proper nervous function from the brain down to the limbs and back from the limbs back up to the brain, and it allows you to improve your
Wow.
performance. That's the
So
the,
I
the
mean, I
most
just I
layman.
just had an epiphany too because I was telling you earlier, um, you know, I'm working there. I'm getting my squat down to where it used to be before I broke my leg, but they had to do 2 surgeries because I broke the tibia. I completely shattered the tibia, and I fractured the fibula, and then there was a couple small breaks in my foot from the skydiving accident. But I have like a titanium plate and 13 screws in my leg from those surgeries, and a lot of nerve pain, but huge scar up my ankle. And so I'm curious to see if, prior to doing those exercises or any of the stuff that involves my leg, if activating the scar. Well, and it also makes sense too, because when I was going to physical therapy, the last piece of every session was the physical therapist like massaging my leg, like really, really deep tissue, and I wanted to punch him in the face. It helped, but it was horrible. I hated
So,
it.
Casey, so if I were there in front of you right now, and let's just say we were going to do a workout, right?
Okay.
I would tell you, Casey, take your socks off on your whole lower half of your body, and I would get you to stim the scar marks from where they actually to put your plates and all that other stuff in. So I would actually focus on those scars in particular as well, because you'll be able to improve your performance by stimming that area where those scars are.
Interesting. Well, I'm definitely going to try that. Um, so Daryl jumping on here said, really makes me wonder why my left arm is smaller than my right. And then he says, I have 9 tattoos on my left arm. So, my question is, one, are you left-handed? That would really make it interesting. But two, I mean, it's worth trying. It makes sense that there's, some scar tissue, and that, that has caused some issues. So definitely something I'm going to try out. I'm super curious. I'm fascinated now. Fascinated.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different things you can play around with. I find that when people have either tattoos or if they've had history of replacements where they put screws, plates, knees, hips,
Hmm.
type of things like that, I get them to do nerve gliding around the area. I
So
get them to
what is
do.
nerve gliding? What does that look like?
Okay, so for example, whoa, I'm knocking my camera around here. So what you can do, for example, is you can actually put your arm out to the side like so.
Okay.
So take your right arm and put it out to the side, just like this.
Okay.
Take your right arm,
Everybody see
right?
that? Right arm
Yeah. So take
out
your
to the
right arm
side.
out like this.
Okay.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to flick your wrist down. So point your wrist down to the floor. So take your hand and flap it down. And if you
Flap
can't
it.
do that, no, the other way. Yeah, like you're asking for your paycheck. Yeah.
Oh,
Put your wrist
okay.
down.
Yeah. Give me
So put
that.
it down. No, watch. Put it down. So you're gonna go like this. Put your wrist down. Just flick it down like that. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Now
Ah.
tilt your no, yeah. Now while you're tilting it down, hold it there. Tilt your ear to the left. Okay. Now when you bring your head back to the starting position, you're gonna tilt your head to the right, and then you're gonna flick your wrist towards your head.
At the
But keep
same
your arm
time?
straight. Yep. And now repeat, go the opposite way. And you're gonna do that back and forth 3 times. Okay. And then back and then forth. Beautiful. Do it again. Boom. Okay. Now put your arm at 90 degrees like you're flexing your bicep. Okay. So the wrist is flicking down again towards your ear. And you're going to tilt your head
Like
towards your
this?
left hand. Yep. Now
Like
tilt your head
this
to the
or
right.
this?
No. Keep straight.
Okay.
Tilt your head to the right and tilt your hand towards your ear. Like this. Watch. Yeah. Just oh no, don't tilt your body, just your head and your
Just my head.
hand, just like this. Yeah. And
Okay.
now tilt your ear away and flick your hand away. Flick your hand away. So you're holding a weight or tray.
Okay.
Yeah. So take your hand on your right side, flick it up so it's like you're holding a tray.
Okay.
Yep.
I
And
got
now
it.
reverse direction and come back to starting position. So ear to the right, hand
Okay.
flicks down.
Got it.
Good.
Yep.
So come back here like this.
Yep.
Yep. And then like this. and then like this,
Ah.
and then like this. Okay, so what all this is doing, so this way you have a method to the madness is the first one is actually going to floss your thumb and your index finger. This is your radial nerve. When you do the one where your hand is like this, where it's like you're doing a bicep curl,
Okay.
that's going to be your medial nerve. And
Uh-huh.
then when you do this one where your hand is facing the opposite direction and going like this is going to be your ulnar nerve. So once you floss those nerves, you're going to get circulation that's going to go back down to your fingers. So going back to what Daryl was saying, how he has problems in regards to developing symmetry between both sides of the arms. When you start nerve gliding a little bit more often, the signal from the brain to the fingertips gets a lot better because you're creating space between the nerve and the sheath that's surrounding it. So it's able to get down there a lot quicker. So then when you start,
Ah.
yeah,
And this is wild because like this hand is tingling now. Like everything is like I'm acutely aware of everything in this hand right now.
yeah,
Like
you're gonna
I'm not
feel a
paying
lot
attention
more
to this one, but this
circulation.
one I'm definitely feeling like there's tingling. I feel the circulation. I feel it activated. Uh, that's why. So doing something like that prior to doing a lift or doing any kind of like physical exercise is going to improve the performance of that. Is that what
Yeah,
I'm understanding?
that is correct.
That's awesome. That's some crazy stuff.
So, and this is the thing, and then once you start paying attention to these little things, you start developing a strategy on what works best for you. Because not everything is just a regular cookie cutter routine. Everyone is specific in their own little way, right?
Hmm. Absolutely. That is some cool stuff, man. I gotta say. So I want to kind of take a step back here and kind of pull everything back out. And how did you find this space? How what was it in your life that kind of led you to learn these things and be a coach and a health and wellness and fitness coach?
Okay, so when I first started, I got into a bike accident, like as a BMX, and I acquired scoliosis as a result of it when I was around 12, 13 years old.
Mm.
And I went through the whole rehab thing like everyone else. I had to do a year's worth of chiropractic just to get my curvature to an ideal spot in comparison to where it was when I first started it. And with that being said, um, it sort of sparked my interest in going into some type of rehabilitative field. And I thought, what can I do that I can incorporate all the things that I love? So I enjoy helping people, I enjoy arts, and I enjoy working out. So I can do all three of them in the same job.
Hmm.
And then I started off with the whole body transformation thing. Then I got into some post rehab stuff. And then closer to about 2017, my best friend and his missus, they signed me up for this course and they're like, okay, we know this is all you're going to love this thing. We need you there and we paid for you and you can't say no. We got to go. I'm like, okay,
All
you're
right,
pulling
there
my
you
arm,
go.
but I gladly accept. And after the first course, I was hooked. I'm like, wow, this stuff's amazing. Because never in my life, one, have I learned stuff you can apply that quickly. And
Hmm.
two, never have I gone to an actual seminar or some type of certification where the doctor can answer about 95 to 96% of your questions. And that was pretty awesome
Hmm.
because it shows that there's more layers to the onion that you can peel off and get more specific with it, right? And because of even taking that course, it motivates me even to want to take more stuff. And it's not because of the fact that, oh, hey, you know enough or whatever. No, it's just because I want to be able to reach people on a more global level. Like it's not just working in a gym. I want to be able to help people worldwide and so then when the day comes and I gotta close my eyes, I can say that I helped a lot of people and I can go to sleep without,
Right,
any
right.
reservation,
Because
right?
for a long time you've been really limited to just kind of your geographic location, but now you're starting to expand out, into the states and into just being
Well, there's the
online.
States, there's people from Copenhagen and England that I've been talking to.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, so and the thing is, the reason is just because once you start talking with people and they start, you have similar interests, they include you on projects, they're like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to charge you for this. Can you be on this call for this many hours? I'm like, yeah, let's go. Right. And if you show a genuine interest in wanting to learn, then people you really will take you in. Like, I'm very fortunate over the last couple of years. I've met some really good people, and I'm learning a lot. I'm in a lot of uncomfortable areas, like most, but I prefer to be there right now because you can't learn when you're comfortable. You have to have
Hmm.
something that's going to force you out of your comfort zone so that you can
Right. Growth,
expand.
growth and learning in life starts outside the comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they say that you need to be in pain in order to grow, like they're not kidding for real. Like it's unbelievable. And when they say that, life starts at the end of your comfort zone, like boy, they weren't kidding.
Yeah. Real quick, Vernon jumps in. He says, are there workouts or templates of all these different practices that can be applied by an exerciser or on a regular basis? So I think he's asking,
Yes.
like, are there templates that if somebody wants to make this a routine, like a warm up, that they can use?
Okay, so Vernon, what I will do is I'll send both Casey and yourself the sensory warm up so you guys can both play around with it.
Oh, there's a
It's
sensory
a
warm
video
up.
of
Yes.
Dr. Cobb actually performing the all the warm up exercises, and he actually has a martial arts background, so yeah,
It's
a lot of
great.
the
So
stuff
do
he
Vernon
does
and
is
I. Vernon and I do too. That's
yeah, I
perfect.
know. Vernon and I have had some very extensive conversations in regards to his background and how far that he's come with it, his
Mhm.
training journey, and we actually have some similar people that we know that we have in common, which is really cool. But the thing is that with kindred spirits all around the world that that want to help people, this is how it has to be done. You have to, collaborate, help one another grow, force each other out of comfort zones as well amongst one another. And then as a result of that, then you can really start to see what you can really do when you start to push yourself just a little bit further uh, with something that you didn't know before.
Mhm. Um, I'm curious to hear because, is like I said, these are not the common practices that I would expect to encounter going into a gym and hiring a personal trainer. I would expect, someone to show me the proper form of lifts and stretches, but some of the things that you've mentioned are different. They're exciting, but I got to imagine that there's been some people that have been skeptical. So how do you handle it when you have somebody that's, or tell us a story about a time where someone's really challenged you, like you really thought, like, come on, man, really, you're gonna make me brush my tattoo, like, really?
Well, it's funny that you say that. And once they do it, they're like, that's voodoo. They're like, oh
Right,
my God.
right.
And then
You and
once
your
they see it,
witchcraft, Davide.
yeah, that's pretty much what it is. They'll say that's witchcraft, or what did you do there? How come that worked?
Sorcery.
Is this going to be permanent? I said, well, not necessarily. You have to build yourself up over time, right, to get used to all this stuff.
Uh-huh. And then
And that's the thing too, though, right? Is that it's who really wants to get the results. But once you show people that they can improve their walking, you improve their squat form, you improve their push-up form, or you can do these specific exercises to improve grip strength, then people start listening.
mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but you know what? That's okay. That's fine. Your tribe will come to you. Like and your people that you help, they will speak on your behalf. They will be your advocates because they know that you have their best interests at heart, and you're coming from a genuine approach to make their lives better.
Right.
and
So
they
you
know
you
always
probably have
know.
some testimonials of people that, would be willing to say like, "Hey, I know what this guy's saying to try is a little crazy, a little different, but trust me, it works."
And the thing that this journey with the nerve thing has taught me is that there's a lot of trainers out there that are overtraining their clients, or they're
Uh-oh. We lost sound with Davide. There we go.
yeah.
Oh, you're back. Okay. You said there's a lot of trainers and then we lost you. Go ahead.
No, a lot of trainers that they put their clients through a lot of different exercises that they shouldn't be putting them through. And the reason for that is just that people want to do things. Oh, but I need to challenge them. I said, yeah, you do. You can challenge them with something at the end if you really want to, but you still need to give them what they need so that they get better. Because if the thing is, if you put them through an exercise just because you want them to, sweat or to feel, a little bit bad about themselves, that's not going to fix the problem. And you want longevity for the person. I know sometimes you have to give them a little bit what they want. That's fine, you can do that. Yet at the end of the day, at the same time, they've asked you to complete certain goals by a certain time, and you need to make sure that those goals are met. And if you don't
Yeah.
do the right things to get there, it's just, are you doing what you promised them that you were going to do when you had the first
I mean,
initial
to
assessment?
me, that really screams of a personal trainer or fitness trainer that just really doesn't understand the science. And it depends on what they're going for. Okay, so like, if we're talking about somebody who's training for an MMA fight, then yes, you need to feel pain. You need to get way out of your comfort zone, and we want you to bleed in training so you're victorious in battle, right? That's one thing, and I've been
Yeah.
there. I mean, I remember my boxing coach before one of my kickboxing fights. I mean, he had me like round after round, like no breaks, like 10-minute rounds with people. And he was putting me against people out of my weight class that were just like whooping me because he's like, I want you to suffer in here so that when you get in the ring, it's not as scary. It's and you're prepared for it because the training was hell. This is just, this isn't as bad. And I was victorious there. So I could see that mindset there. But for somebody who's coming to you to like get healthier or to lose weight or to, get better at exercise, you're actually doing the opposite there. I mean, if we're talking about just the basic law of thermodynamics, only 5% of the calories that you burn happen through exercise. You don't have to put yourself through hours of hell with vigorous exercise to lose weight. In fact, they're finding that things like shivering or just fidgeting throughout the day, you burn more calories over a 24-hour period than you do,
Yeah.
going for an hour-long run. So, yeah, I just had to throw that out there because that scream, here, if I heard a personal trainer say that, like, well, I really got to push him and make him feel it, unless you're training somebody for like a very, serious physical activity, like an MMA fight, like a marathon, like a professional football player, a professional athlete, but just the
Mhm.
everyday person trying to get in shape and be fit and lose weight. I think that's a terrible strategy. And that's just my personal opinion as a trainer. Um, yeah, so I had to throw
Yeah,
that out
like
there.
gen population, you have to make sure that they stay motivated. You have to make sure they keep up with their habits, sure that they're accountable. Like for the
Hmm.
MMA guys, I do something that's called the deck of death. And how the deck of death works, it's a Russian special forces drill that they do. And how it works is that every suit of the deck represents an exercise. So one of my ex world karate competitors, I made her do it, and she broke her record by a good amount. It was about 15 minutes she broke it by. So the goal is to finish the whole entire deck of cards in less than an hour. So aces are 21s, jokers are 21s, but suits cards are 15, and the rest of the cards are what they are. So she did hers with um, push-ups, TRX rows, goblet squats, and burpees, and those were her 4 exercises.
Oh man.
So she managed to finish it in under just 40 minutes. Okay. Now, the first time she did it, she felt the difference because she was out of breath. Then she's like, okay, I'm gonna kill that thing the next time, because she was so mad because
Yeah.
I felt fighters have a like they either have it or they don't, but when they have it, man. They're gonna work so hard to make sure they crush that goal the next time because they
Well,
don't want to
I
be.
mean, even just you like mentioning that, I'm sitting here thinking like, who's up for a challenge? Like, I kind of want to do the deck of death now, but I'm kind of crazy. So,
Yeah, the deck of death. It's a rainmaker. I have this one other old client that she's not old, but she's a young gal, and she is a marathon runner and,
mhm.
and a triathlete, and she did 2 decks. She was the only person that I know that pushed herself to that point of complete exhaustion where she did 2 decks, and that is a crazy, crazy. That's like 100 and what is that? Yeah, 144 cards, and like you just
Woo.
have to imagine like all the reps there that she did, and then I messaged her the next day. So how'd you feel like this as well? I felt like I got hit by a truck. It's just
I
so
feel like I'm gonna.
let me
It
ask
feels
you
like I hate
something.
you, Davide.
He said, would you do it again? She says, yeah, in a heartbeat. I'd
In
do
a
it again.
heartbeat. That's awesome.
She says, I'd do it again. Just and then she messaged me about 4 weeks ago. He said, do you think I should try 3 decks? I'm like, wow. And it makes you smile, because it's like you get to be a part of this.
Hmm.
And this is the thing. And then when people get to a level where you can't push them and they're like, can we go back to doing the other thing? I said, no, because the pages still have to turn. The next chapter has to come.
Yeah.
And so you have to find out what you can really do. Is just because I really do my best to instill mental toughness. Oh, they're like, no, you can't quit on that rep. You got to keep going. You got to fight that rep out. I say, because this has to tell your body what to do, not your body. I said, and anyone that's in like a fighting sport, I was like, or a 24-hour adventure race or anything that requires you to push your body beyond the limits.
Hmm.
All those people know what it's like to run off nothing.
It
You
really
get
is
to a point.
mental. It really is. I before my injury in my past life, I have done 2 half marathons and countless 5 10K races. I did a 10-mile run, um, and I loved it. Uh, I didn't love it so much for the fitness aspect for it. I loved it for the mental aspect of it because when I was running, especially when I would hit long distances, I remember there being a point where I would, for all intents and purposes, really dissociate. Like I would check out. Like it was almost an out of body experience being, you're on mile like 12 and you're just on autopilot. It's almost like you're flying. Afterwards you feel the soreness and the aches and the joints, but you also feel accomplished and you have that runner's high. But I
Mm,
remember times just being in my headphones, whether it was music or a podcast or a book that I was listening to, and just the world faded away and it was just me and the universe and whatever trail I was on. Um,
yeah.
and I do miss that, but running is just not something that's in the cards for me right now. I can run about maybe a mile and a half before the nerve pain gets really bad. Because like let's pretend this is my foot, right? Right at where the ankle bone is, there is a screw right through there where the hinge is. So any slight turn in your foot like this is excruciating because there's this like bolt that prevents that. And so when I'm running, if I step at all on uneven ground, it's just very uncomfortable. So I've been
Oh man.
easing back into the running. A treadmill's fine. I can do a treadmill or elliptical, but I've just mostly been
Oh
focusing
man.
on Brazilian jiu-jitsu and weightlifting and and that's been my training. But I am excited to try some of the things that you've talked about because never heard of them. And I mean, I'm always looking for something that's going to improve my performance and something that I can share with my clients, that if there's something that could help them improve their fitness journey. And
Oh,
that, and that's
there's a whole nother world out there still that a lot of people don't know about. And unless you're invited to that community, or, like I have friends of mine, they'll call me up and they'll say, "Hey, we're gonna have a workout with the guys on this day. Can you make it?" Yes, I'm definitely gonna be there because it's sports chiropractors, a bunch of physios, and there's always gonna be one gem you're always gonna take away from there. But the beauty about it is that it's all men gathering there to work out with one another, and you get to share experiences, you get to be guys. And that alone has its own powerful merit on its own, because then it sort of brings you back to the time where Arnold and the boys were working out in the gym and everyone was helping each other along. And
mm,
you know it's a great atmosphere to be in. And it would have been great to be a fly on the wall at one of those times when those guys were training.
absolutely, absolutely. The gym that I go to has, excuse me, posters on the wall of all the greats, right? All the greatest bodybuilders, Arnold being no exception. But, you know, they're pictures of not like him at competitions or in magazines, but old photographs of him in the gym training with guys. Like it wasn't him on stage, it was Arnold like doing his deadlift. It was Arnold like doing, curls with the other guys in the gym. And I think the same thing. Like what would it be like to be there, fly on the wall and hear about the training? And
Now the question is, have you watched the documentary yet?
I have not. What's the documentary?
So there's a three-part documentary with Arnold where it goes over his career as a bodybuilder, his career as an action star, and his career as governor. And what's really interesting is it does a full spectrum in depth of how he got to be how he is. And it's a tell-all type of documentary, which is great. But you respect him for what he was, coming to America at that particular time by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he had to make it for himself. He was pretty confident, because guys at that age would not have that bravado or that type of confidence like he would have had. And he kept pushing until he got what he wanted,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and
inspiring.
you, I have to believe, and I'm sure that this is, you know, kind of portrayed in that documentary. I'd be willing to bet it is, but that his discipline in the gym and the habits that he built in terms of health and fitness translated to other parts of his life. That
Yeah, they
he
talk
was
about
able to
that.
find success in other areas of life because he got so disciplined at that area of his life. And I believe that in my core, that the core of any success that you have in life starts with your body, and the mind follows the body. And so
Yeah.
anything that I want to achieve, um, I have the confidence and ability to go do because I've been able to achieve these things. I've been able to go, attain a level of fitness and then get injured and then reclaim that level of fitness. And if I can overcome that, then sky's the limit. And so I really believe that's a mindset that I really love to impart on anybody that I work with, that this is really the foundation. This isn't just about your weight or your health or your fitness. This is about creating a lifestyle and a mindset that you can overcome anything. And also with weightlifting, learning that failure is a good thing, that when you fail you get stronger, that you're going to have another chance tomorrow to lift that weight again, and you're going to be able to do it more times than you did today or next week or whenever it is. So,
And with better form, of
and with
course,
better
right?
form, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think that translates to life, right? Like if you're able to do
Yeah.
these things better and perform better, then you can improve anything. And just because you're not great at it today doesn't mean in the future you won't be. You just got to keep working at it.
For sure.
For sure. Well, let me see if anyone's jumping on here. Hey, Ida, what's going on? Good to see you. I like that you've been a regular on these. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Couple more shout outs. I again just want to shout out Austin from Player One Production. Dude is awesome. So gracious to put this on for us and help get this message out to people. And anyone here in the local area where we are, anyone looking for some photography, anyone looking to business, big or small, looking to film a commercial, or just need, one of the coolest things that Austin does is he's got this drone that can just do all kinds of things. I mean, we have hot air balloons here in New Mexico, and one day we were out filming something, and he's like, "Hold on, I gotta get this," and he flies the drone up, and it's going like all the way around the balloon, and it gets so takes such a clear shot that you see the people in the gondola waving to him, and then he brings it back down, and he caught it all on film, and it was beautiful. So anybody who needs any kind of photography, videography needs, hit up Austin. His link's in the description. It's Player One Productions, or if you're looking to start a production like this. Also want to shout out EPN Supplements. If you're looking for premium supplements, whether it's protein, pre-workout, non-stim pre-workout, link in the description for 10% off. And yeah, you don't need any special code or anything. It's just use that special link and there you go. And I want to thank you, Davide. I know it's a little later where you are, and I appreciate you staying up and taking the time to chat with us and share some awesome stuff. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be your guinea pig. I'm going to try it. I'm going to let you know. It's happening tomorrow. Hitting shoulders tomorrow. I'm going to make sure these bad boys are ready. Awesome, man. Well, thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you guys. Thanks to all of you for jumping on. This will be uploaded on YouTube within the next week or so. So if you didn't get to catch this live, you'll be able to catch the replay. And thanks again, Davide. We'll talk to you soon,
no
man.
problem.
All right. You have a good one, brother.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.